The high school infirmary wasn't just a quiet, forgotten room where students faked sickness to skip class. It was where Nurse Kiran ran her sanctuary of calm in a chaotic school. Tall and poised, with a soft voice and warm demeanor, she was the only adult some troubled students could confide in. Her gentle hands had soothed bruised knees, and her patient words had talked many teenagers off emotional cliffs. But kindness in a broken system was often mistaken for weakness, and for a group of arrogant bullies who ruled the hallways like warlords, Nurse Kiran was simply the schoolmaid, someone they could insult, ignore, or even harass without consequence. The leader of the pack was Rehan, the principal's nephew, whose father funded half the school's facilities. His gang of followers, Arif, Daniel, and Samir, were feared not for their brains or strength, but for the way they got away with everything. Vandalizing lockers, spreading cruel rumors, humiliating juniors, all brushed under the carpet with a grin and a donation. But Kiran saw through them. She never reacted with fear, only with stern eyes and silence, and that silence infuriated Rehan. One Friday afternoon, with most teachers at a staff meeting, Rehan burst into the infirmary with his gang, pretending to need painkillers. Kiran looked up calmly from her paperwork. "You again. What is it this time, Rehan?" she said, standing. "We were wrestling. He got hurt," Arif said with a smirk, pointing to a non-existent injury on Rehan's arm. "That's not a medical emergency. Go to class," she said, walking toward the door. But that was the moment Rehan snapped. He grabbed a glass jar of cotton swabs from the counter and hurled it to the ground. It shattered. "Oops," he said, mockingly. "Now it's an emergency." Kiran's heart pounded, but she refused to flinch. "Pick that up," she said firmly. Laughter echoed behind her. Samir kicked a metal chair, flipping it over. Arif threw files off the desk. She reached for the phone to call security, but Rehan stepped in, shoving her backward. "You don't give orders here, lady," he hissed. She stumbled, losing balance, and hit the floor hard. Her elbow scraped. Pain shot through her side. The room spun for a second. "Oh look, we broke the nurse!" Arif shouted, roaring with laughter. But as Kiran lay there, something ancient and fierce stirred in her. Her father, a martial arts instructor, used to say, "Stillness is not weakness, it's preparation." She saw the broken wooden chair beside her, its legs splintered but still long and sharp. A weapon. Her heart rate slowed, her breath focused. This wasn't just about her anymore. These boys needed to learn, not through words, through action. She gripped the broken chair leg and slowly rose to her feet. Blood trickled down her forearm. Her bun had come loose, and strands of hair framed her face like battle lines. The laughter died. Rehan took a step back. "Whoa, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Kiran didn't speak. Her eyes locked on his like twin daggers. And then she lunged. The moment Nurse Kiran raised the broken chair leg, silence gripped the room like a storm before the thunder. Rehan's smirk vanished. She didn't swing wildly. She advanced like someone who knew exactly what she was doing. "Step away," she said, voice low but heavy with command. Rehan flinched, startled by the authority in her tone. "She's crazy," Arif muttered, backing toward the wall. "She's gonna stab us," Samir whispered, but no one laughed now. Kiran didn't want violence. She wanted them to feel the fear they'd made others feel. She swung the chair leg down, not at Rehan, but at the metal tray on the table. It clanged like a bell, a declaration. "This ends now. You won't touch anyone like this again, not while I'm here." For a moment the gang just stared. Then Rehan, in a desperate show of ego, lunged forward, grabbing for her wrist. But she pivoted, years of martial arts training flooding her instincts, and twisted out of his grip. She swept his legs, and he fell flat on his back, wind knocked out of him. "Get the principal," Arif yelled, bolting out. Daniel followed. Samir helped Rehan up, who was now panting, rage boiling in his eyes. But for the first time it was mixed with fear. Kiran dropped the chair leg and walked over to the phone, blood still trickling down her arm. "This school needs to see who its real threats are," she said, dialing. Within minutes, the halls buzzed with noise. Word had spread like wildfire. "The nurse beat up Rehan! There was a weapon! She flipped him like a movie stunt!" Students peeked through doors. Phones started recording. By the time Principal Farouk rushed in, flanked by 2 security guards, the infirmary was a crowd of broken furniture, spilled supplies, and one very defiant nurse. "What happened here?" he boomed. Rehan tried to speak first, pointing at her like a child caught red-handed. "She attacked me with that stick." "She's lost her mind?" But Kiran didn't defend herself with panic. Instead, she pointed to the broken glass, the scattered papers, her bleeding elbow. Your nephew and his gang came in here. They trashed this room. They knocked me to the floor. I defended myself. There are witnesses. Rihan looked stunned.
She's lying. Ask Arif, ask anyone.
But then something no one expected happened. Zoya, a quiet junior with a stutter, stepped forward from the crowd. I saw it. He pushed her. They broke everything. She didn't start anything. A boy from the football team followed. I was coming to get bandages. They were laughing, then they shoved her. One by one, students began to speak. Kids who had stayed silent for years now found their voice. The nurse's courage had opened a floodgate. Enough. Principal Farouk said, raising a hand. He looked from Rihan to the mess, to the dozens of phones recording. Rihan, come with me.
What?
You're taking her side? Rihan shouted. My father. I don't care. Farouk cut him off. For once, your father won't clean this up. You crossed a line. Rihan was taken to the office. But that wasn't the end, only the beginning. The school board got involved. Security camera footage confirmed Kiran's story. Parents demanded action. The media caught wind of it. The headline went viral. Nurse defends herself with chair leg from bullies. Silences entire school. Kiran was temporarily suspended during the investigation, but when she returned 2 weeks later, the entire school stood at the entrance clapping. Flowers filled her office. Students she had treated in silence now greeted her with pride. Zoya hugged her with tears in her eyes. You made us feel safe again, she whispered. Principal Farouk personally apologized for ignoring past complaints and implemented a new student safety board led by Kiran herself. Rihan and his gang were expelled. Their parents threatened lawsuits, but the footage was airtight and public opinion wasn't on their side. Weeks later, during a school-wide assembly, Kiran was invited to speak. She stood at the center of the auditorium, the place where bullies once ruled. I didn't raise a chair leg for revenge, she said, voice steady. I did it because too many of you suffer in silence. Too many are afraid to speak. Let this be your reminder. Silence is not weakness. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands up, bleeding, hurting, but still standing. If you've ever been bullied, you're not alone, and you never will be again. The auditorium erupted. Tears, cheers, pride. The bullies had fallen, but something greater had risen, unity.